As a professional 3D application, 3ds Max has quite a few options that can be customized to make the look and feel of the program more to one's individual liking. Now, before I start showing you some of the things you can change around, my suggestion would be not to do a bunch of customizing until you have a firm understanding of how the program functions using the out-of-the-box default settings. With that said, let's see what we can do. Let's first take a look at how you can personalize your keyboard shortcuts. In the Customize pull-down menu, choose Customize User Interface. In the column on the left, you'll find a list of all the actions or commands in Max that can be associated with a hotkey. Hotkey is simply another way of saying keyboard shortcut. If a shortcut key has been assigned to a command, in the list you'll see that shortcut off to the right-hand side. The angle snap, for an example, has been given the hotkey, the letter A. If you don't like a particular shortcut, maybe it being too tough to remember, you can always change that command to a different hotkey. Let's drop down the list and find Save File. Now you'll notice there's already been a keyboard shortcut assigned, the Ctrl-S combination. Let's say that we'd like to change that shortcut to simply the letter S. Over on the right-hand side, click in the area where it says Hotkey. Now we'll type in the letter S. Now right below that, in the Assign To area, you'll see that S has already been assigned to the Snaps toggle. So we'll clear that, and why don't we instead try Y? This time around, you'll see under Assign To the name Not Assigned. If you wanted to follow through changing Save File to the hotkey Y, you'd now click Assign. Now I'm not going to do that for our purposes here. If you ever wanted to change any of the colors that are being used in the program, you've got a tab at the top that you can click on. Let's say that we'd like to change the color of our viewport background. Under Elements, we'll leave it on Viewports. We'll go down the list, then click on Viewport Background. Now once you've done that, you'll see a color chip on the right-hand side representing the current color of that viewport background. If wanting to change, you can click on that color chip, then accept the new color. For my example here, I'll simply cancel out of the color selector option box. As far as other color choices, maybe you'd like to change the color of your geometry when it's been selected in the view. In Elements, we'll go to the Geometry category. Down on the list, we'll click on Selection, then you'll see the color chip over on the right-hand side that you can change. Again, I'll simply close the dialog without committing to the new color. There's also a few things in the Customize pull-down menu you can change under the Preferences. You'll notice a series of tabs at the top that are listed by subject. In the Generals tab, on the right-hand side under UI Display, you may decide to change the size of your toolbar buttons. That in large part will be determined by the resolution at which you're running your screen. You can also, for an example, change the number of undos that have been programmed into the software. That can be done in the upper left-hand corner under Scene Undo. Under the Files tab in the lower left-hand corner, you can change the number of backup files that you choose to save. Auto Backup is one of those options that you want to make sure is always enabled. Therefore, if your computer crashes, you'll have something to be able to fall back on. In the Viewports tab, you can change the size of your vertices as they display while in sub-object mode. You might also find an occasion where you'd like to change the overall layout of your interface. You can do that under the Customize pull-down menu, choosing Load Custom UI Scheme, UI standing for User Interface. If wanting to use a lighter color interface, you may like to choose 3ds Max 2009. Go ahead and double-click on that and give it a moment to load. Now, as the message on the screen says, the settings won't take effect until the next time you restart Max. Let's go back into the Customize pull-down menu, changing things back to using the default. As far as the command panel, it can be repositioned to different locations on the screen. Moving your mouse to the upper side of the command panel will bring up a small little icon. When you get the icon, go ahead and right-click. Let's choose to float the command panel. Now the command panel has been torn away, being able to now be moved to other locations on the screen. It can also be docked on the left-hand side of the program. To do that, you'd simply right-click again up at the top, then in the menu choose Dock, Left. For now though, let's return it to the right-hand side. The command panel can also be expanded to multiple panes. That can be done by simply positioning your mouse at the border where the command panel meets the viewports. When the cursor changes to left and right arrows, you simply hold the mouse down and drag to the left. Closing it back up is done by dragging to the right. Max also offers a series of hidden tool sets that can be accessed up on the right-hand side of the toolbar. To the right of the teapot render icon, you'll simply want to right-click. In the menu that pops open, anything that doesn't have a check mark next to it, once checked, will appear on the screen. Let's open up, for an example, the snaps. We'll go back in again and also open up the Mass Effects toolbar. Now, this is a brand new dynamic simulation utility that was made available in the program back in 2012. These floating toolbars can also be docked at various locations in the program. For example, if we wanted to take the Mass Effects tools and position it below the toolbar, we could simply drag it into that position. Once positioned there, you'll simply let go of the mouse. Tearing it off, returning it to a floating menu, is done by right-clicking on the left-hand side. When the menu pops open, you simply want to choose Float. If you ever accidentally lose something in your interface, like maybe the command panel or toolbar, here's how you can get those back. Under Customize, choose Show UI. If we uncheck Show Command Panel, look what happens. To get it back, we'll re-enter the same dialog, then once again check Show Command Panel. Lastly, when building materials that incorporate images that you're personally responsible for providing, in other words, something that didn't ship with the program, you need to make sure that Macs can find those pictures if they're being kept in a remote location, like on a server or maybe on a flash drive. You, in essence, have to build what is called a map path over to where those files are. That's done by going again to the Customize pull-down menu, this time choosing Configure User Paths. You'll then click on the External Files tab on the upper left-hand side, then click on the Add button you find on the right. Now, once you've done that, you'll navigate over to where your files are, then add that path. So that'll give you some of the options as far as customizing the program. Some a little more cosmetic, while others just plain practical if wanting to work smart.